Thank you for joining Vergis in our celebration of GIS Day. I'm Stephanie Payne, VP of Global Operations, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to a day of learning and sharing. The spirit of GIS Day is to educate, inspire, and showcase real-world GIS applications, and we aim to do just that today. I'd like to introduce you to Peter McLaren, Senior Customer Success Manager here at Vertigis. Peter will be your host today, and I'll turn it over to Peter to share what you can expect, followed closely by our first panelist, Drew Millen, Vertigis CTO. Take it away, Peter.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. Yes, we also have Paul Van Heeren. He will be the main moderator today. He will be answering your questions in real time, specifically technical questions that might come up so that Drew and others can focus on the meat of the matter. Thank you, Stephanie, and welcome wherever you are and whenever you are. Mostly we're focused on North America today, but we do have people from around the world attending. So today's presentation is for GIS Day, of course. The theme and the title is From Data to Decisions, Transforming Infrastructure and Asset Management. One thing we want to actually go through really quickly is, again, some of the themes or some of the background. We're going to look at NEO today, and NEO really resonates or really connects with the title, the theme of solutions-oriented thinking. Also, there's directly a fit between networks reporting, and it emphasizes, transformation and decision-making. The customer stories today will show you that transformation in action. So we're currently at about 85 people logged in right now. We did have registrants of around 300, so we're really excited to see such interest in what we have to show today. So with that, let's move forward. Some housekeeping notes. Please place your questions in the Go to Question button at the top of your interface. Our moderators will try to answer your questions in real time. Presenters will be asked questions chosen by our moderators, and various slide decks may be available on the platform. Currently, there aren't any presentations available, but we'll try to upload them throughout the day. Recordings of individual sessions may also be made available post-presentation, most likely on Communities or one of our other platforms. And if you're a big social media person, you can tweet out or share using the hashtag VertiGISD3. I was just mentioning this to Paul. What does the D3 mean? Well, it's the GIS Day, Data, and Decisions. So it kind of worked, and hopefully it works for you too as well. So with that, let's jump right in. So GIS Day, a little bit of history that you probably know because many of you have attended numerous events over the year. It was launched by Esri Inc. in 1999 during GIS Awareness Day. It's really a global celebration of all things GIS. It occurs annually on the third Wednesday of November. We chose to do it a little ahead of time so that we would not be in conflict with Esri Inc. or other Esri entities around the world. This event promotes spatial thinking through workshops, or generally speaking, this is how many organizations, they workshop map exhibits. We're going to really focus on web sessions and presentations. Here's our agenda. I'll go through it very briefly. Shortly, we're going to bring Drew in. He's going to start a little bit early today, just so that he has a bit more time to explain NEO and the shift to vertical solutions. That will be followed by Greg Berzeau, the VP of Utilities, Vertigis North America, looking at networks, one of our solutions that is connected to NEO. Next, we'll be working, or Cam Bernard, our product director, will be going through the road ahead, something that's done every other month. Following that, Tracy from Teach Me GIS will be here to show us some things that we can do, how you can learn more about Vertigis Studio through training. At 1 o'clock, myself and Paul Burr will be doing our product showcase, our sixth one this year. Following that, we'll be going directly into Santa Clara and their info map, and Georgia Power, their economic development site, and Mississauga, using a very interesting product inline to help with some smarter mapping and data decisions. And finally, at around 3:30 Eastern time, we'll wrap it up and kind of give you some closing thoughts for the day. So a little bit of Vertigis Studio and Vertigis North America, actually. Many of you probably are very familiar with us. Some things that we develop are Studio, FM, and networks. We're also known for our classic GeoCortex Essentials, which many of you are still using, and we do support, or we will support for quite a while going forward. We are headquartered in Victoria, BC, with offices in Toronto and other locations. And we offer web, mobile GIS frameworks and solutions that extend ArcGIS. We are release ready, which means in general, within 2 weeks of the release of an Esri technology, we'll be ready to go with new exciting features. We've also got an online specialty, state and local government, and we are in the marketplace. Our go-to-market strategy is exclusively Esri. We are a platinum partner. A little bit about our solutions. Of course, we sit on top of ArcGIS as our platform. Our framework, Vertigis Studio, sits very snugly on top of ArcGIS, and ArcFM uses Vertigis Studio technology and various pieces, workflow reporting, printing, etc., to enable features. Networks also follow the same kind of strategy. We're using what we built for a wider audience for specific solutions. Drew will go into that definitely in detail. So we are, a platinum business partner. Our headquarters is London, UK. And as you can see with this partner overview, we do operate in a number of different countries. Drew will go into that in detail. Studio is one of many products that we sell and develop. And we're more than willing to show you any one of them at your convenience. So a little bit of a partnership. Esri, the developers of ArcGIS software, is really all about serving hundreds of thousands of organizations in every industry. Vertigis maintains strategic partnerships with Esri for decades, aligning our business and technology initiatives with theirs. We meet with them on multiple levels, monthly and weekly, to make sure that we're aligned with their vision. We work together to create our joint customers, or to create value for our joint customers who need spatial technology and applications that match their specific business needs and requirements. Some common gaps that we see our customers encountering: custom widget development is time-consuming, costly. Developers are challenging to really acquire, quite expensive sometimes. Sophisticated web applications require SDKs. Configurable mobile applications lack extensibility. Sometimes things change rapidly, I know, within Esri, but sometimes the Windows kind of requirements don't get focused as often as iOS and Windows. With our mobile technology, we support Windows fully. PDF reporting on spatial assets can be cumbersome, especially if you want a beautiful report to bring to the management or to other organizations that need to see things from your organization. We will be going through that, a little bit of PDF reporting later this afternoon in our product showcase. There's limited capabilities for applying fine-grained permissions. We have that kind of technology ready to go out of the box. So where does Vertigis Studio fit along this continuum? It really fits here at the custom development gap between configurable apps and the custom apps that you might create with an SDK. Our value proposition has always been that we help you configure sophisticated apps in a fraction of the time that it might take you with an SDK, providing premium quality output and information products to your users so they can enjoy your data and help them make decisions. So essentials to Studio. This is something that we've been working with our customers for quite a long time. GeoCortex Essentials. It's been a rich all-in-one classic framework viewer. People just love it. It was built on the JavaScript 3.x API many, many years ago. When we saw the JavaScript 4x API 7, 8 years ago, whenever it was actually released in beta, we were very excited and we saw the future. As a result, we built Studio from the ground up, looking at our past technology and making sure that it worked, and making sure that we were able to give you the value that you had with Essentials. Now, as you know, the JavaScript 3.x API has been retired, but being platinum business partners with Esri, we do a special relationship that enables us to continue to use and support that Okay, just been told that I've been lost. Give me a second. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you're back, Peter. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sorry about that. Yes, having a bit of issues with our connections here. Sorry about that. So just going back, Essentials, all enriched classic viewer, built on 3.x. Now we are using the JavaScript 4.x API for our unbundled delivery of apps. These standalone applications can be deployed individual and at your convenience and whatever makes sense for your internal requirements. As you can see with this wonderful chart, this is sort of a gap analysis. And as you can see, the capabilities that were in GeoCortex are now in Studio, and they've basically surpassed functional equivalence. Out of the box, our web product is 3D. So it's challenging to actually compare them exactly, but at the same time, we do know that they have surpassed functional equivalence. And a little bit about how we see things. We look at things in terms of the portals, web, ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. Creators, of course, using Pro or other methods would create web maps and web scenes and using a framework such as Experience Builder, web or mobile, create an app. Using some of our capabilities, search, printing, workflow reporting, an item is created within the portal. So our technology is essentially native to ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. These are merged together into an app, which are then shared out with the various types of users, the viewers, the contributors, the field workers. We do a few layers of administration. Analytics, which really looks at the workings of your systems, making sure that they're up to date, giving you information when things may be going in the wrong direction. And then access control, a permissions layer that enables you to reduce the number of services that you may need. So with that, I'm going to bring Drew in to talk about Neo. A little bit early, but he does have a lot to say. So we'll make Drew the presenter. And Drew, you can then present your
Perfect. Thanks, Peter. Great introduction. And excited to be here as well. So thanks for bringing me into this event, Peter, organizing the day, by the way, as well, and bringing us all together to talk about success stories in GIS. So I'm really excited to share a little bit about what we've been doing, zooming out a little bit further than just the Vertigis Studio GeoCortex Essentials ecosystem that Peter was just talking about. Let me share my screen first, and then I'll put the PowerPoint into it, and that's going to work, I think, a little bit nicer. So Vertigis Neo might be something that you've heard of because we have been advertising this brand label since around the user conference timeframe, the Esri user conference in July. It's still relatively new to Vertigis as well, but we're trying to be loud about this and share our idea around Vertigis Neo. So today is yet another opportunity for us to share this with you. If you haven't heard of it, by the end of this presentation, hopefully you'll get a good sense of what it is, where we're going with Vertigis Neo and why it exists. Of course, I'll be happy to entertain your questions as well. I understand from our audience that most of you are existing customers that have worked with Vertigis technology for months, maybe years, maybe even decades. And those of you that have that experience will recognize us from GeoCortex and Vertigis Studio products, but there are maybe also a few folks who are new to Vertigis on the call. So just a couple moments for those folks to introduce ourselves. Outside of the office in Victoria and in Canada, Vertigis is a global business of approximately 600 staff. And over the last years, we've been serving customers around the world, just under 6,000 customers globally right now. And we serve those directly with our software, but also with a channel of partners. Some of these partners are Esri distributors, for example, Esri Netherlands, Esri Italy, and several others are distributors of Vertigis software. So when they provide ArcGIS to their customers, they also bring Vertigis solutions. I named two, but there's about 20 distributors in that partner network. And the other partners are implementation partners that are helping our customers succeed with our technology. Of course, one of our most important partnerships is that with Esri. Peter already spoke a little bit about that. Just to highlight, we are, of course, a platinum partner, and we're very proud of that we've continued to be one of Esri's premier partners globally. They've got about 2,500 partners in their global partner network, and about 15 of those have the designation of being a platinum partner. So quite a rigorous criteria to meet that. And it's about aligning our technology and working closely with Esri to help our customers succeed. Just last week, I was at Esri's headquarters in Redlands, California, working with their development team and their product and development leadership to talk about strategy. They have a number of ideas that they like to share with a handful of partners under close NDA, and we express our opinion about where the market is going and what the technology trends are that might influence the way that they develop their roadmap. So it's a very collaborative partnership that we have with Esri. This is where we are globally, so our footprint, if you will. You can see we're in 9 different countries. Those are the green labels that you can see, and the white labels are all of the offices that are situated in those countries. So spread across 24 offices right now, very geographically diverse, and that's also because of our customer database, that we have customers all over the world, and we're trying to be as close to those customers as possible in order to serve them as best as we can. Now, Vertigis has evolved quite a bit over the last decade, and I think most of you will know by now that there was a company in Canada that used to be called Latitude Geographics. It was acquired. Those were that was the original maker of GeoCortex software, and after that acquisition, it was renamed to Vertigis. Well, that actually happened about 14 times over to different organizations around the world, and so we've brought together a number of businesses under a unified strategy, and that strategy is really focused on bringing software applications that enable businesses with geospatial technology. That is to say that what we all have shared in common, all of these organizations that have been brought together under this Vertigis umbrella, what we all share in common is the delivery of spatial applications and then services that enable those applications. It's very refreshing to me, especially that we're able to focus our attention in this space and not and be comfortable enough in it to not be distracted by some of the other areas in location technology. For example, we don't provide geospatial data, and we don't supply GIS infrastructure. That's very intentional. We work with providers that do, so that we can deliver the best possible applications and solutions on top of GIS infrastructure for our customers. So that's just a little bit about Vertigis and where we see ourselves in this geospatial ecosystem. But my presentation today is on Vertigis Neo. Vertigis Neo is a brand that we developed earlier this year, and the tagline for it is your cloud-centric future for industry-focused geospatial solutions. There's 2 big themes here that I hope to express throughout our presentation today. One is the cloud-centric theme, that we're engineering all of our future-forward technology inside of Neo with a cloud focus. That doesn't mean that it's only working in the cloud, that it's required that you deploy our technology in the cloud, but we are engineering all of our technology in a way that it can be. And the second theme is industry focus, that we want to get deeper inside of our customers' business problems and organizations to help them better solve the business problems, rather than just providing a horizontal toolbox, which is great by itself. We want to continue to supply a horizontal toolbox, but we also want to solve industry-specific problems holistically, so that organizations maximize the value they're getting with our software as soon as they install it. And we're doing this by focusing on core segments. Those segments are, for example, utilities. And my colleague Greg will join right after my presentation today and talk more about the work we're doing in utilities. But generally speaking here, our customers are using our software around the world to model digital twins. And those can be sophisticated digital twins right down to the real-time monitoring of sensor equipment, or just a representation of the physical infrastructure that they've installed that may be transition or distribution networks that they're supplying services to their customers. Another industry that we're focused on is telecommunications. And we do distinguish this from the utilities segment, especially because our telecommunications customers have unique challenges. And what's happening in telco, especially right now, is massive growth in the rollout of fiber. And these organizations need great planning tools to be able to plan and ultimately construct and record fiber installations, but then also to light up those fiber installations with services to their customers. And Vertigis is unique at providing software that does both. It helps our customers manage the physical infrastructure, the cables that are either above ground or below ground, and the services that ride on top of that infrastructure to deliver, for example, internet or television to customers. One of our foundational markets that we continue to serve around the world is in local government. Local should kind of be put in air quotes here. It's definitely the cities and counties and municipalities. So that's what we mean when we say local government. But we do also have provincial and state customers and national customers in the government space around the world. One of the trends that we are starting to see more and more is cities, especially investing in smart city initiatives and looking to spatial solutions to help them activate those smart city solutions. This could be better customer engagement or citizen engagement, all the way through to automating permit approvals and processes to, again, having sensors that manage real-time equipment that they have installed, lighting and equipment at other locations across the city. And lastly, one of the segments that we focus on is best classified as enterprise. In fairness, there are a number of different industries that we serve that I would put into this bucket, but what they share in common is that they're really pushing the boundaries of geospatial technology and looking to Vertigis to solve some of the more complex challenges that they face. Things like integration with IoT and AI, enabling real-time intelligence, looking at integrating data from remote sensing, looking at tracking real-time assets to keep the enterprise informed and engaged. Example customers in the enterprise space are large retail, supply chain, logistics, and transportation organizations. So those were 4 specific sectors that we have decided at Vertigis we're going to focus our attention on. And we're using NEO as a vehicle to focus our attention in these areas to bring industry-focused solutions that solve the problems that those industries have in common. NEO is a collection of our technology, but it's also a way for us to unify our strategy around cloud architecture, around industry focus, around innovations in things like AI. I'll get a little bit more specific on what it means in this next slide. If you think about the last decade with Vertigis, my view of it sitting inside the organization looks a little bit like this. Now, some of you might be familiar with some of the origin products that are being listed on the screen right now, or maybe just GeoCortex, which is the one that we illustrate right here. But we've had quite a collection of software and intellectual property that we've brought into Vertigis through development that we've built ourselves and also through acquisition. And over the last decade, we've been in the process of organizing this into our future product lines that you see on the right. So today's collection of software that we offer to customers that are looking for solutions in the geospatial arena are listed on the right-hand side with Networks, ConnectMaster, and so on. Now, there's a thick white line separating the top half of this diagram and the bottom half of this diagram, and that's there for a good reason. On the bottom, we do have solutions that we're deploying into local markets in Sweden, in Germany, and Switzerland, which are very hyper-specific to the needs of customers exactly in those markets, but not applicable outside of those geographical boundaries. Because of, for example, legislation that's in place for doing land management in Germany and Switzerland that simply doesn't exist anywhere else in the world. So we make that distinction between our local solutions and our global solutions. And this idea with NEO is to bring these global solutions all together under a single unified brand. I want to be very careful here. This isn't a new product, and NEO specifically isn't really something that you can buy, but it has been a way that we can organize our product portfolio under a unified strategy. That unified strategy means that we can have a common approach to solving challenges like cloud architecture, like integration of innovative solutions with AI, and to give a common experience to our customers. More and more, we're starting to see organizations adopt more than one software product line from us. So for example, we have Vertigis Studio customers, which are leveraging Vertigis FM for their asset management or facility management use cases. We have Vertigis Networks customers who are deploying our network software for their utility-focused infrastructure, and then coupling that with ConnectMaster exactly for their telecommunications infrastructure. And when our customers start to combine these solutions together, we want them to have a unified experience for working with our software and similar expectation for what they're going to get in terms of value and technology from software. That's why Vertigis Neo was invented, and that's what we're hoping to do is really bring this all together under one unified banner. So hopefully that explanation makes sense, but I will continue to elaborate on that a little bit further here. I mentioned early on that one of the key tenets, besides a cloud-first orientation with Neo, one of the key tenets is industry-focused solutions. This is a sort of belief at Vertigis that technology alone isn't going to solve the business problems that our customers have, and that belief comes from our experience. It's actually the solutions that do. Now, historically, solutions have often come in the flavor of let's install a horizontal toolkit like GeoCortex or Vertigis Studio, and then on top of that framework, let's configure a solution. It could be a single web application or a dozen web applications that serve different needs throughout the organization. But the solution is actually the resulting apps that were delivered and configured on top of GeoCortex. And that's what those business problems that organizations have, that's where those business problems are solved in those applications. We want to provide solutions that are far more out of the box that already deliver the business value that our organizations that we're addressing in those 4 core markets need. So as you'll hear from Greg and we get into, for example, utilities in more focus later this morning, you'll learn about our solutions that go really, really deep into the utility organization, understand the use cases and business problems they have, from planning and designing network expansion to constructing network infrastructure to documenting that construction to performing maintenance and performing repairs or managing emergencies like outage. All of these use cases and workflows can be addressed more natively with out-of-the-box solutions rather than technology that has to be configured to do so. That's just one example in the utility space, but we are looking to repeat this in all of the core 4 markets that I mentioned earlier. Now, I'm going to leave that sort of industry-focused deep dive to Greg in his next presentation. But in my seat, what I get really excited about, of course, as a CTO for Vertigis is technology trends and the state of technology and where things are going. So I want to focus a little bit more of my time on technological trends. And there's 4 that I want to dive into a little bit deeply here. We engaged a leading consultancy in the last months to provide us a better and deeper understanding of our core markets in Europe and in North America. And they interviewed hundreds of customers, competitors, prospective customers using geospatial technology, and sent a survey to hundreds more to learn a whole bunch of really interesting insights. They asked questions like, how many of you are thinking about cloud in your next 5 years as part of your business strategy? How many of your users are using spatial technology on mobile applications? Where do you see adoption of web versus desktop applications for geospatial technology in the future? And how are you thinking about AI affecting the way that you think about spatial technology in your organization? And we came back with some really interesting insights, which I'll share. One of the first ones that really caught our attention was the predicted steep increase in mobile adoption. So if we look at the bar chart here, we're illustrating how many use cases inside of an organization were served through mobile apps in 2020, how many today in 2025 are being served through mobile apps, and then how many do we forecast will be served by mobile applications by 2030. And we can see that as a result of the interviews that we did and the survey that we conducted, an almost doubling of use cases that are targeting mobile apps. And I think that's twofold. One, because mobile apps are becoming more pervasive and available and technologically advanced in order to solve some of the business problems our customers are having. And two, because organizations are recognizing that capturing data at the source out in the field where the infrastructure is more efficient than recording it in old-fashioned ways and then duplicating that effort in the back office. Another interesting technological trend that we saw coming out of the survey, and we can also see these trends, by the way, when we talk with our customers and when we deploy applications, is the increase in web deployments commensurate with the decrease in desktop use. So we know that desktop has been sort of a foundational component for a lot of GIS professionals, but we also see it declining more and more as web applications mature and become more available to the rest of the organization and more sophisticated in what they can achieve. Notice here that the prediction of the increased adoption of web applications from 2025 to 2030, I keep saying 2030 to 2030 is rather modest, but I would highlight that the participants in the survey and the interviews indicated that the types of applications they see using in the web will dramatically increase in sophistication and incorporate more editing use cases, whereas today most of the web application deployments that they see are really only read-only or view-based use cases. So when we think about these statistics and these trends that are affecting our customers, we also consider the role that web and mobile apps have in our investment and the future that our customers are relying on. I'm going to make a prediction that you are, on this call, creating, updating, exploring, and maintaining the spatial system of record for your assets. Now, what your assets means for each of you might be different. It could be your utility infrastructure. It could be roads. Your assets might be tax parcels or other data. But that spatial data that you're putting it on a map, let's call that an asset. And what you really, a lot of what we're doing with GIS is these activities. Well, if we deploy modern web and mobile apps, then we can ensure that when you're doing these activities, that the data in your system of record is current, and reducing the time it takes from a change happening to your asset in the real world and a change being reflected in your system of record gets us closer and closer to this concept of a digital twin from which we can make real-time decisions. We can also ensure higher accuracy. That's because with mobile and web experiences that guide user interactions and prevent errors at the source, we have less errors and less bad data really going into your system of record. We can make the capture of data far more intuitive through web experiences than we ever could with GIS desktop tools that allow, well, frankly, just too much freedom for end users to make mistakes. And a third tenet we see is speed. We can see that the end user experience working with web and mobile applications actually in many cases dramatically outpaces the end user experience of working with desktop applications. This is of course also true if we multiply the number of users that are accessing the system and think about things like concurrent use across the entire infrastructure. I want to shift now to talk about two of some of the core tenets behind the NEO strategy. And I mentioned before that, if there's a couple of sort of threads pulling NEO together, one is, of course, our industry focus, but another is giving us a vehicle to share innovation across our entire product portfolio or global product portfolio. And two areas that I want to dive into deeper are cloud and AI. Let's start with cloud. So the solutions that we deliver with our technology are delivered in a variety of ways to our customers. And we want to maintain, as part of our cloud strategy, maximum flexibility to meet our customers where they are. Now, we are shifting to become entirely cloud oriented. We believe we are a cloud company, and we can offer scalability and flexibility. We can offer better cybersecurity. For example, Enterprise Azure Policy as Code enforces cybersecurity at the infrastructure level. So it wires our policies around things like ISO 27001 compliance into the fabric of how our Azure cloud environment is built. We can enable faster deployment with continuous integration and continuous deployment and automated pipelines. We can enable easier updates, and we can help our customers manage their costs better by focusing our attention on these cloud strategies. Now, you can see three different areas where our cloud strategy is exemplified, and I'll go into those a little bit further here. The first one, and many of you might not be aware of this, but for dozens of customers around the world, we offer a managed service, entirely hosted GIS infrastructure. That means all of your geospatial data, all of your ArcGIS licenses and your ArcGIS infrastructure and the Vertigis solution stack live entirely in infrastructure that we maintain and manage 24/7. We're doing the application monitoring. We're doing the maintenance and proactive support. We're doing upgrades of the infrastructure, both on the operating system side, the GIS infrastructure side with ArcGIS and with the Vertigis software. And we're making sure that that infrastructure is a top-notch cybersecurity posture with ISO compliance, and also protecting your data with GDPR compliant security that you can trust. Why our customers are increasingly looking at moving to a managed service with us is because they see their own costs increasing. They see their own infrastructure challenges increasing, especially with threats from cybersecurity and increasing demands on the people who own that infrastructure. It's becoming more and more difficult to manage and deliver geospatial infrastructure to your organization. And this makes it extremely easy. And it also makes it extremely easy to budget for, rather than thinking about the capital expenditures that you have to make on your own hardware and infrastructure. We make a very transparent subscription pricing available for the entire solution. The next offering that we have is something that I would describe as something like a private cloud. Here, we imagine that you have your own subscription with Azure, Google Cloud, AWS, and you would like to deploy Vertigis software on this private cloud of yours. So this is your own managed tenant. And so this is just about making our software cloud compliant so that we can easily deploy it into your own private cloud infrastructure. But increasingly, expect us to make our software a little bit more engineered for turnkey deployments inside private cloud infrastructure. And what I mean there specifically is around containerization. In the next 5 years, we're going to see more and more that software is deployed through containers rather than traditional installers, and that container infrastructure is ideally suited for cloud deployment as well. Starting with our next generation of the Vertigis Studio reporting engine that contains a new library for generating the maps, we will deliver that technology in a container so that you can install that container on your own premises or on your own preferred cloud vendor. I don't want you to think that we're completely abandoning on-prem deployment. By no means. We are continuing to support private and on-premises deployments with installers, but increasingly our customers are telling us that they are subscribing to cloud services and want to deploy within their own private cloud infrastructure this way. Last but not least, one of our most common patterns that we see with cloud adoption is something that I would call a hybrid cloud solution. This is where our customer manages ArcGIS and their database on premises, or with their own cloud provider, or with ArcGIS Online. But anyways, the customer manages that, the data and ArcGIS. Meanwhile, the Vertigis solution is delivered in a multi-tenant SaaS. So they access our Vertigis software in the cloud, even though it connects directly to their own ArcGIS infrastructure and their own geodatabase inside their firewall. This is a really common pattern because we can make sure that the Vertigis software you're consuming is evergreen. That means it's always up to date with the latest version, and you're completely hands-off. And you can take advantage of cloud scalability and ease of deployment and ease of use. So that's a summary of our cloud strategy with Neo, and all of the solutions that fit into Vertigis Neo participate in this strategy. So if you're ready to have a conversation about your cloud strategy inside your organization, we are too, and we'd love to discuss what patterns could work for your organization moving forward. I'll finish my conversation today by focusing on what we're doing in the space of AI. We can see that demand for AI is increasing. Now I titled this slide Utility Use Cases because this study that we did in this particular area focused on what utilities are doing with geospatial software and AI, but I think that this more generally applies as well to other industries. We're seeing that AI assistance and chatbot functionalities are frequently requested. Analytics is something that is definitely something that organizations are starting to consider and use AI for, especially in the space of geospatial technology, but not so much in the agentic AI space. You can see that it's almost completely empty with regards to organizations responding with regards to how they plan to use agentic AI. I tend to think that this chart is going to flip in a couple of years, and there'll be a lot more respondents saying things like, yes, we definitely see the value of agentic AI. But for now, we want to focus on these sort of core areas where our customers see the use and power and value of AI inside their organization. So within Neo, we've derived a strategy for our AI adoption into 3 dimensions. The first is AI assistance that will help end users be more productive in their application. The second is AI productivity tools for those of our customers that are building web and mobile apps with our builder tools. And the third is leveraging AI in order to transform the processes that our customers are using inside their organizations. So we're calling that process transformation because there may have been a traditional way of solving a business problem that AI completely flips upside down and makes far more efficient. And I'll elaborate on some examples of some work we've been doing in all 3 of these areas, starting with assistance for end user accessibility. The demonstration that I want to share with you is an AI-based speech-to-text query builder. I know that's a bit of a mouthful. Generally, this means I can speak an instruction. I could also type the instruction in, but it's kind of fun to speak it. It will interpret my speech, turn it into text, and then automatically turn that natural language text into a query that's built. Now, I'm just going to ask one of my colleagues, maybe Paul, if you can let me know if the audio from the video that I'm about to play is going to play. If it doesn't, that's okay. I can orate over top, but just let me know if you hear it because I'm not so used to sharing a video through the GoTo webinar tools. You ready, Paul?
I'm ready.
Okay, so this is the screenshot. It's going to play a video. Just give me a yes if you can hear the audio.
If there's audio now, it's a no.
Okay, I take that it is a no. So there was audio, so I'm going to do orating on top of this. So we'll start the video again. This time I will be the voice. Okay, so we're going to filter buildings with height less than 20 with an address on Belleville. Now, when I orate that instruction, you can see that it automatically populated a query. I can click apply, and the map automatically filters to the specified results. What I really like about this example is it took natural language, the way that query was expressed was just the way that you would say it in English. And it translated it not just to a query that the application could understand, but into a query that the user could understand. So at the same time, we're sort of teaching the user how to format these sometimes more sophisticated queries on the map. This is one example of an AI assistant that we think would help users with productivity, and we've experimented with several others. I just wanted to share this to get the concept across of what we mean by AI assistance. In the next example, I want to focus on how we can imagine AI helping our end customers with building applications. One of the more exciting areas here is in workflow generation. Now I'm going to put a big asterisk and caveat around this. What you're about to see is by every definition just a proof of concept and an experiment. It's not something that is close to productization, but I'm sharing it because of how exciting and inspiring it is. We think that one day we should be able to do this, automatically generate a workflow through prompts. And our early testing shows that, yeah, this is within the realm of possibility, but there's quite a bit between where we are now and actually delivering this as a productized solution. Still, I wanted to give you a sense of where we're thinking and where we're experimenting on this topic. So here is our workflow designer. Hopefully this is recognizable to some of you. And inside, we've added this AI agent that allows us to generate a prompt. And that prompt says, create a workflow that sets the map extent, creates an alert, and then creates a log. And as you can see, it did. It generated the workflow. It understood the language that we were sending it, interpreted that into a sequence of activities, and it also changed them together. I will also point out that this was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th try that it had to create this workflow on that prompt, and it's still not perfect. It's not attached nicely here, just to give you a sense of the kind of trial and error that we would go through. So what we can see next with regards to iterating on this example is we would need to train this AI on hundreds and hundreds of workflows and say, these are good ones, these are bad ones, these are okay, but there's room for improvement, so that it knows what a good workflow looks like. It knows better how to chain these activities together, but we think it's within the realm of possibility. Just wanted to share that example as a point of inspiration and also to illustrate what we mean with regards to helping administrators with productivity. You will see in the next releases of Vertidus Studio productivity tools come into the Studio Designer that use AI in order to help you build tools on the toolbar and things like that. So sort of early days, but we're iterating on this. And the last one I want to demonstrate is in the area of process transformation for the enterprise. And in this example, we're going to use our mobile application, Vertidus Studio Mobile, and an image recognition AI. So we're going to leverage the power of AI in order to automatically process an image from a point that we're capturing and capture the attribute information from that image that we're interested in collecting from the field. So let's go ahead and watch this example. So here we have a mobile app on a mobile device. And from the I want to menu, we've got a new custom function called add a tree feature. We're going to open up the camera and take a photo of a willow tree. Actually, it's a photo of a willow tree, but the AI assistant is smart enough to interpret that. And it's going to pull out all of the information that we were interested in from that photo and populate our attribute dialog. So you can see we have a common name, we have the scientific name, the family, things that I certainly wouldn't have been able to fill in myself, especially because I'm not an expert in tree identification. We can also see the health classification automatically populated with paragraph description, again, interpreted from this AI. One important facet of all of this is having a human in the loop. So we can edit any of these fields if we're not happy with the way that the AI has automatically populated them. We can prompt the user to confirm that they're happy with those attributes before we record the feature. At the end of this process, we've attached the photograph that the user captured for posterity, and then we can go ahead and commit that to our database. This video continues with one more example, and this time the tree we're looking at is severely damaged. So we're just testing that the AI recognizes that indeed it should record the health of this tree as damaged and needing repair. Let's go have a look. And again, human in the loop, we get to review all of these fields, and down at the health, you can see it has been identified as poor with broken branches, indicating stress or injury. So a pretty sophisticated state of the way that this even basic AI in this example can interpret images in order to capture more detailed information from the field. The reason we're calling this process transformation, or an example of process transformation, is because we believe it can change the type of people that might actually be doing inspections for your organization. They might not need the same level of qualifications in order to be able to perform that work. This example has already been made published. So if you're interested and you're using our mobile technology and you'd like to kick the tires with this, you can learn more about how to implement this with your own apps. And you can also plug in your own trained models. So in this example, we used Azure's OpenAI large language model. But if you had trained your own AI model, or you wanted to upgrade to a more sophisticated model, it is fully flexible. And that's a pattern that we'll repeat with all of our AI integrations as well, as the flexibility of choice with regards to the model that you'd like to use. Well, that just about brings us to the end of the presentation today. I know it was extremely high level. I did want to make sure that we got across this concept of Vertigis Neo and where we're thinking in terms of how we're unifying our innovation and strategy across our global product portfolio. I hope you took something away from it and that it adds some inspiration to the way that you're implementing your GIS workflows. So Peter, thanks again. I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you. So we do have a poll question. Poll question is, what is the biggest challenge in moving to cloud-first solutions? Are there security concerns? Is integration with existing systems something? Are there cost and return on investment kind of criteria that kind of leave you waiting? Are there skills and training requirements that you see that just aren't ready? Or are you not planning to move to the cloud at all? We'll give that another minute or so. And while that's going on, we do have a question, I think, that Paul has for Drew. Paul, did you want to go ahead and ask that question, or the two questions that might be in the question box for Drew?
Yeah, just one here. It's from Chris Applegate from Eventive. He's asking about some of the data that you were presenting with regard to mobile app usage and web usage. And his question is, are these GIS studies done only for Vertigis, or is it part of an industry report that is findable?
Yes, it's going to be made publicly available. So there's a redacted. So we did engage a consultancy, and we have access to a rich data set that they've collected on our behalf. But there's a public report that they've also invested in and will make available. I just don't know that it's available yet. So yeah, maybe we can follow up with that one specifically offline. And as soon as I'm made aware that it is publicly available, that report can be shared. But in the meantime, I'm not sure that I can speak to it until it's publicized. But time frame wise, within the next couple of weeks, if it's not already available, so it's not far off.
Paul, were there any other questions that were coming in?
No other questions, but Matt McLean here made a comment about with regards to this poll question. He says, I would add different response of data sovereignty as one of the challenges that people face.
Good point, Matt. Thank you. Definitely something that we need to really think about. Okay, so with that, I'm going to start sharing the results. And as you see, it seems like the highest percentage seems to be integration with existing systems, followed closely by cost and return investment. So those are two very important parts that we do need to consider. And I think that's probably top of mind for your organizations. Drew, did you have any thoughts on the poll?
No, that doesn't. I'm not falling out of my chair. I think I'm not totally surprised to see those results. I think those are in line with what I would have expected. You have to dig deeper on all of these things, of course. I totally get the integration thing. If all of your systems aren't in the cloud, then how are you going to expect a cloud system to talk to your on-prem systems without opening some security holes and things like that? Some of those hybrid approaches that we've derived do work around those situations, but I can understand where that feedback is coming from. On the cost and ROI side, it goes both ways. So there are also some strong arguments that cloud infrastructure can save your organization quite a bit in infrastructure costs and in labor costs, et cetera. But there's, hard costs that are associated with running applications in cloud technology. So there's kind of a double edge on that one.
Okay, excellent. So we're going to go ahead and close the poll and go back to our agenda. Thank you, Drew. That was a wonderful presentation, and I'm sure that many people learned a lot about Neo.